Have you ever experienced a moment when something happened at just the right time, in just the right place, and it felt almost too perfect to be a coincidence? Maybe you were thinking about an old friend you hadn't seen in years, and then, out of nowhere, you run into them. Or perhaps you've been grappling with a life decision, feeling lost, and just when you're about to give up, you come across a podcast, an article, or even a quote that seems to speak directly to you, offering exactly the insight you needed. These are the kinds of moments that can leave us wondering, could this be more than just a random chance? What if I told you that these experiences might not be mere accidents? What if they point to something deeper, something hidden in the fabric of reality itself, just waiting for us to notice? Today, we're going to explore whether these coincidences, these meaningful coincidences, could be telling us something more. Could they be revealing a pattern that connects us all? One that transcends time and space? Could there be a force at work, subtly guiding us, offering us signs that we may not even realize are there? This is where Carl Jung's concept of synchronicity comes into play. Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist, introduced the idea that certain coincidences aren't just random events. They are reflections of a deeper, interconnected reality. He proposed that these moments aren't simply by chance, but are instead manifestations of an underlying order in the universe, a hidden pattern that we, as humans, are often too distracted or unaware to see. On the surface, these events may seem like coincidences, but what if there's more to them than meets the eye? Could these seemingly random occurrences be nudges, small signals from a universe we are more connected to than we think? As we delve into this idea, I invite you to keep an open mind and reflect on the experiences in your own life. Could there be something more to those perfect moments than we're giving credit to? We've all had those moments, the ones that don't quite add up but feel too meaningful to ignore. And yet, often, we brush them off as nothing more than random accidents. It's easy to dismiss them, especially when we live in a world that seems to place more value on logic and order than on the intangible forces that may be at play. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, we're preoccupied with tasks, responsibilities, and the constant pressure to keep moving forward. We rarely stop to reflect on why certain things happen when they do, why we cross paths with certain people, or why we seem to stumble upon answers when we least expect them. But what if we've been overlooking a bigger picture, one that's been unfolding in front of us all along? What if these coincidences are not random at all, but are trying to tell us something about our lives, our connections to one another, and the very nature of reality itself? Take a moment to think about your own life. How often have you encountered a person you hadn't seen in years, right when you needed them? How many times has a piece of advice or a book fallen into your lap at the exact moment you were struggling with a question or decision? Perhaps it wasn't just luck. Perhaps it was synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence, as Jung described it. A subtle signal from the universe that the world around us is more interconnected than we realize. These moments can feel like fleeting ripples on the surface of our reality. But Jung believed that they are more than just random waves on the ocean of life. They are reflections of a deeper, more organized pattern that underlies everything. Beneath the surface of what we see and experience, there is an order that binds us. And these synchronicities are like tiny threads, weaving their way through the fabric of our lives. They may not always be visible, but they are there, guiding us, connecting us, reminding us that we are not alone in this vast, complex universe. When you stop to think about it, how often do we ignore the smaller signs, the quiet moments that might seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things? We're so caught up in the fast pace of modern life that we often fail to recognize the subtle nudges the universe might be sending us. We might dismiss these coincidences as mere accidents because it's easier to do so than to confront the possibility that there's a deeper meaning to them. But But what if we stopped, even for just a moment, and allowed ourselves to reflect on these experiences? What if we embrace the idea that these moments aren't just random occurrences, but are instead pointing us towards something greater, something profound? Now, here's where things get even more intriguing. Let's say you're at a crossroads in your life, facing a big decision, one that could change the course of your future. You're unsure, feeling stuck, and even overwhelmed by the weight of the choice in front of you. And then, seemingly out of nowhere, something happens. Maybe you hear a conversation, read a sentence, or stumble across a piece of advice that offers you the clarity you've been searching for. The timing feels uncanny, like it was meant to happen. It's almost too perfect to be a coincidence, right? But here's the twist. What if these synchronistic moments aren't just random strokes of luck or happy accidents? What if they're more than that? What if they're actually our minds, subconsciously in tune with the world around us, aligning us with the right events, people, and opportunities at just the right time? At first, this might sound like a stretch. How could our minds possibly be picking up on signals that we aren't even aware of? But think about it for a moment. Our brains are incredible pattern recognition machines. From the moment we wake up, our minds are processing a vast amount of information, picking up on subtle cues and signals from the world around us. Most of this happens outside of our conscious awareness. We might not realize it, but our minds are constantly scanning the environment for patterns, making connections between seemingly unrelated events. So, what if these moments of synchronicity are not really coincidences at all, but rather the result of our minds subconsciously tuning into the world in ways we don't fully understand? What if, by paying attention to these patterns, we begin to see the world as more interconnected, more purposeful than we ever imagined? The more we notice these synchronistic moments, the more we may begin to realize that it's not just chance at play, but something deeper, a profound alignment between our inner world and the outer world. Perhaps in those moments, our conscious minds are catching up with the signals our subconscious has already recognized, offering us a glimpse into a reality we've been blind to. But there's another layer to this. What if these synchronistic events are more than just signs or messages? They're invitations? What if they're calling us to pay attention, to align ourselves with a greater purpose, to recognize that we are part of something larger than ourselves? Maybe, by noticing these connections, we unlock a deeper understanding of our place in the world and our role in the universe. Now, as we wrap up, I can't help but offer a different perspective, a more skeptical view. While the idea of synchronicity is undoubtedly beautiful and thought-provoking, there's another side to this story that I think we need to explore. You see, while the idea that the universe is subtly guiding us through synchronistic moments is undeniably comforting, I'm not convinced it holds up entirely. I understand why it's tempting to view these coincidences as signs, as messages from the universe, but from where I stand, I believe that many of these moments may simply be random occurrences with no greater meaning behind them. Life, in my view, is often unpredictable, chaotic, and devoid of any inherent purpose. The universe doesn't always align to guide us. Sometimes, things just happen without any deeper connection or meaning. It's easy to fall into the trap of seeing patterns in things, especially when we're looking for answers or searching for meaning in our lives. But just because an event aligns with our needs or desires doesn't necessarily mean it's a sign from some greater force. Sometimes it's just the randomness of life unfolding. For example, when you run into an old friend at the exact moment you need someone, it feels special. But when you step back and think about it, the odds of encountering someone in a world of billions of people aren't as unlikely as we make them out to be. Similarly, when you discover a book or article that answers your burning question, it could simply be the result of your own thoughts and subconscious processing. We're constantly seeking answers, and our brains are naturally inclined to find connections in the things we encounter. In the end, I think it's important to acknowledge that not everything needs to have a deeper meaning or purpose. Sometimes, things happen because they happen, and that's okay. The randomness of life doesn't make it any less meaningful. It simply makes it unpredictable. But that unpredictability, in and of itself, is what makes life so fascinating. So, I'll leave you with this question. Do you believe that moments of synchronicity are signs of something deeper? Or do you see them as random events, no more significant than the next? I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the role of coincidence in our lives? And how do you make sense of the seemingly perfect moments that occur? The nature of reality, after all, is something we all must come to understand in our own way. And I'm curious to know, do you see a hidden design at play? Or are we simply trying to find meaning in a world that's far more random than we'd like to admit?